And what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Nights at the Round Table. It is MANWELL'S.
Were you trying to give yourself a nickname?
Yeah, I was trying to think of another nickname so I can give myself. What is up?
Manuel,
over to my left, we have Angela Johnson.
Hello.
Elyse Murphy.
Yo.
Brandon Smith. Hope you guys are doing amazing. Today, Brandon, what'd you bring?
Today, I brought some rosé.
Oh, some
because
rosé all day.
My summer diet consists of calamari and rosé.
Yes.
You want to get a summer body, you got to do yourself good. Tonight we are drinking. It is called Whispering Angel.
Ooh, so spiritual.
This is a I know. We're such spiritual people. It's a 2015. I can't even say this. It's a Côtes de Provence rosé.
Beautiful.
All right. So according to one article, this is the most
yes,
most
popular
rosé. There you go. I was going to say most drunk, but yeah. Most drunk.
Well, afterwards.
No.
Afterwards, yeah.
Yeah. So let me read you this poem real quick.
Oh, beautiful.
In the Ecklands Valley, angels whisper. Ooh. If you drink this wine, you might hear them. Ooh. And if by chance you visit us, you might see them.
Ooh. Wow. I'm going to take a sip to that.
Whispering Angel.
Cheers.
Oh, yo, this right here is a blessing.
I know. Get blessed.
I prayed for a rosé and we got
communion.
one. Yo, this is going to be a good episode, guys, because we're doing a 3-part series. Love, how to find it, how to keep it, and what do you do when you lose it. Oh. And today we talking about part 1, how to find it. And in order to do that, there's one of us that is currently single by choice. Bo Beast over there by choice, like
that took me a second. I was like, wait a minute.
Not because you have to
nice.
be.
That's fine.
Yeah, you can have it if you want. Bo Beast. So I was thinking, man, you know, the landscape of dating has changed because I met my queen. We're going on 9 years now, or 8 years.
Married 8 years, known each other 8.5.
Yeah, so 8.5 years. So this was pre-Tinder,
all of it, all the swipes,
all of it. And now the whole landscape has changed, and it's like I had a thought one day. I'm like, man, it would be scary and at the same time, I guess, easy to date nowadays because it's all at a swipe. So I thought, what better thing to do than have an experiment and throw Elyse into this gamut
so nice
of dating.
Of you. Thank you so much.
So I had her download the apps. Mm-hmm.
He asked me 3 times and I said no.
Yeah,
first.
we had to ask so many people all the permissions, and then and then finally she said yes. But we all got together and made profiles for her on Bumble.
It was Bumble. So we did Bumble.
We tried eHarmony.
We tried eHarmony / Match. We tried Zoosk for probably 10 hours.
Yep.
And we tried Raya as well.
And Raya, which for those of you I don't know, but if you're in LA, you do. Raya is kind of like a celebrity one where you can only get invited if you're someone special or you know someone.
Yeah, what?
Invite only.
Invite only. We wanted to make sure to hit all the gamuts. You know what I'm
Elyse, had you ever been on a dating app prior to this experiment?
No, I had accidentally downloaded one time because I was looking up with a friend what Tinder was. When I pressed download, I got all hot and sweaty and thought I was doing something wrong. No joke. And so it was the opposite of having it.
Well, the caveat is because Bobby's is a pastor. So a pastor on dating apps was, at least for the experiment, we found out was really unique and rare.
Yeah, it was a great conversation starter. Well, I feel like
an ender.
And
hey, you're beautiful, but you're a pastor. Bye.
Yeah, you're a pastor. Do you have a sinful side? Was, and I quote, one of them. So fun times. But I feel like there's already a stigma in church about dating apps. So then with being a pastor, there was it felt so weird. The first time I was swiping, it's easy to swipe. It's hard to succeed, I feel like, when it comes to dating on apps.
Well, let's talk about that though. As men, getting on a dating app is normal. For this day and age, it's normal. But to find love as a woman on an app, do you think, even when you told your friends, was it weird for them? Was the initial response you're not really, that's a waste of time?
Okay, well, at first I didn't tell anyone. I told the people that I had to ask, because I was terrified. You guys knew, you were very involved in this experiment. What people didn't know was that we were basically group chatting most of the time, because I feel like it's also now a very social thing. Like,
yes,
we were at our friend William's house, especially one occasion, and it was hilarious that I think we filmed some of it. We'll try and put some of that footage up or something like that. But these conversations we were having weren't like, they were kind of me, but they were like 70% me, 20% Ange, like 3% Manny on that night, but otherwise pretty involved. And then the rest, like Brandon, Maddie, and William, like thrown in the mix. And so, like, you're not even really meeting somebody. You're meeting their friends, especially for a female before you.
It kind of went like this. It was like, okay, this is what he said, you guys. What should I say back?
Quick. We need to be quick so it looks like I'm not talking to my friends.
We would all like pitch jokes. It kind of felt like we were in the green room of a comedy show, and then you have a bunch of comics going, say this, say that, and we're all trying to say something funny but also meaningful.
But let's be honest, do we think that anyone watching right now, a single girl, like, that's how it is?
It is.
When they're on it, it's really their friends and all of them.
Okay, so if they're with their friends, it's absolutely 100% a bottle of Whispering Angel and their friends. And if they're not with their friends, it's like they're exhausted, and similar to how you would open Instagram and swipe to like up and down and tap, how you kind of wind down. You would, like, apps are used for that when you're by yourself as well. So it could be either or, and it was so weird.
Was using the app, like, at times, because even just what you were saying of like feeling like, oh, getting sweaty, getting nervous about using it, when you started using it, and obviously you're getting a good response from a lot of like people interested, did it just feel like completely overwhelming?
Yeah, there got to a point that, like, y'all were really good about checking in with me, because it's just so different. It's such a different way to do it. But I remember one night we had set up the Match and the eHarmony profile, which is, I think it's easier to like get a house loan than to be
we were legit there for 2 hours in your office answering all the questions, and we only got through page 1.
I was like, if I don't find my actual soulmate in the next day, like, this is ridiculous. And so after you figure all that, put that all in, and then like I made Manny like man it, like just screen it, because it was already overwhelming. I remember that night getting home after, I have do a lot with my job as well. And so I'm getting home after meetings all day, and I'm like, oh yeah, my homework, my assignment, I have to do the dating thing, I have to date people online. I opened Zeus, and there was and I'm not trying to say this about oh, I'm so great or anything like that, but 50 messages and these hearts, and someone buzzed at you, or someone winked at you, and this person smiled. What do you mean? Can you just tell me? Can you match me? And so I was hoping eHarmony and Match would be the same, but then it would show us matches, and it was disappointing because I had so many people talking to me, but if I can be honest, no one that I was excited about. And then you have something like a Raya, which is, there's more and more exclusive apps coming out now where you have to either know somebody, be jumped in, it's like a gang or whatever, but it's the dating gang. But so I would match with people on Raya, and then fun fact, no one on Raya actually talks to each other. And so it's almost like this validation thing that people are like, hey, does this person like me? Does that person like me? Cool. I'm wanted. That's kind of how it felt on.
It was an ego stroke.
It was an ego stroke. And very rarely guys would talk to me. And if they did, I talked to a few of them, it never went anywhere. And I have another friend, she shall remain nameless because I didn't ask her permission if I could say that she was on it. She had the exact same thing. There was one guy that is back and forth a lot of the time with her. And it was always we're going to meet up. No follow through at all. And so you just kind of get to the point where it's I've matched with these people, but do they actually want to even, they don't want a relationship, they want validation. And
that's funny because so while we were doing this experiment, I put it out to my Instagram following, and I was like, hey, how many of you guys have actually done these dating apps? What has worked? Overwhelming the amount of people that said Match and eHarmony. Those were the top two. Yeah. But everybody said the same thing. You have to go through hundreds of just disappointment. Yeah. Just, some said freaks, weirdos, whatever. Mm-hmm. But a lot of them found their husband or their other on these two things. But none of them did it quickly. It all took an insane amount of work, an insane amount of just bad profiles, bad messages, this experience. And what it felt like, from what you were saying, you were ready to throw in the towel like a week in.
Yeah, it's done.
And
it's like, I'm good, single forever.
From
I'll get
these
cats.
people, it felt like the same thing. And it kind of feels like, last man standing is the one that wins, which is kind of like, it's sad. It must be hard. Like, it can't be easy, because it feels like if I can just weather the storm of enough weird things, weird people, weird messages, then maybe I'll find someone. Yeah. And does that feel like an accurate description of what it...
Yeah, I mean, I think that it does and it doesn't, because last man standing, the thing that is different about this is it's actually, it's probably the same thing, dating online, as finding someone in real life. And here is the difference, is that I am consciously judging every single person on an app or online as a yes or a no, and I swipe left, and I have to make an action consciously with everyone. Now, when I'm in real life, I walk into a room of 50 guys, where it's, if I'm at church, I can be 800 people in a room, and I'm looking around, and honestly, subconsciously, I'm surveying and may only like consciously recognize or see or be like, interesting, to one or two people. It is so much more exhausting to be aware of the amount of people that you are going through and saying yes or no to. Mm-hmm.
And interesting enough, we did find out, though, it did pull out a lot of the bad in you. Mm-hmm. Remember when you first started and we had that conversation, because it was like, there was a lot of judgment happening.
I felt like a freaking terrible person, and because it was bringing up this stuff of like, not good looking enough, and I was going back to guys that I have liked in the past. Not all of them have been like models, and the ones that have, like, sometimes didn't have the substance to back it up.
So it almost gave you a kind of like a better than these guys kind of thing, because it's like, oh, he's not good looking. Look at this guy. He doesn't take a good picture.
It wasn't that I thought that I was better than them. It was honestly this conscious judging of somebody that just makes you feel like crap. As a Christian, honestly, just as a human, I was like, I don't like feeling this way, because it's almost like I couldn't help it and be like, no, bye, see ya. But I didn't like it.
Right.
You know? So
it feels mean.
It does. And and even like the other one we did was Bumble. And I thought I'd like Bumble, because the idea, we did Tinder, remember, for like 5 minutes, and I was like, I can't be a pastor and on Tinder.
And I
like,
remember we're at Will's house and we were talking about it, and we're like, this just feels like, again, because I'm not saying all the people on Tinder are like scuzzies and floozies, but like it has that connotation that's with it. Like it feels like that. Like, as a minister, there would be a part of me that would feel weird just going on Tinder. And that's not like, again, that's just me.
Sure.
So like when you were saying that, I was like, I totally feel what you're saying, because that feels like somehow this crosses some sort of line for me in my interior world. And
like, in a sense, I had to view it from the perspective of, okay, if I meet someone in a bar or in a club, oh my God, when do I go to clubs?
Or bars.
I'm 85 years old. Well, I go to bars a fair bit, but like depending on where I am, I know what kind of person I'm going to meet. If I'm in church, I'm going to meet someone that at least has some interest, hopefully, in God or in faith. If I'm in, like at like Granville, or I'm trying to think one of our like places that we go, like we'll just go out and have it on the 30. Yeah. One of those places. I'm going to like, if I meet someone that comes up to me and introduces themselves, I'm going to talk back. If I'm at Bootsy Bellows on a Saturday night at 2 a.m., I know I'm not trying to find my husband. You know what I mean? So similarly, I had to view it in the perspective of what is the reputation of the app and what kind of people have been known to be on the app, and just be aware that if I'm on it, that's who I'm surrounding my virtual self with.
Right.
Well, you know what? This is something also I noticed, especially when both of you got together.
Angela and I were dangerous on this app together.
Which maybe you can help some of the homies out there, because the things that you guys would say, you would break down their profile, you would break down their pictures, you would like literally diss or not diss everything that these guys were doing. And I'm overhearing y'all, and I'm like, damn, I feel bad for all these guys, because they don't know no better. Like, they're just literally just throwing pics up, and some of them I'm looking at like, damn, dude, you guys are not helping yourselves.
Honestly.
Like, this is some horrible stuff. But as you were looking, and as both of y'all were commenting and doing your thing, A, what was the most unattractive things? And then B, what did you, as two women, I know, baby, you're married, but if you were to put yourself in that mind, because you always do when you're afraid that I'm going to die, what is that thing that you would hope dudes would have in that profile, or that you would hope dudes would do? Because there was a couple times I made fun of y'all because this one dude hit you up and he was like, what's up? What do I got to do to get a date? And you're like, ooh, too forward. But I'm like, women always say, guys just play games. Why can't they just be more like, know what they want? And this dude was literally like, hey, what's up? I want to take you out on a date. And you were like, ew, that's too forward.
I didn't say ew, first of all.
Okay.
Didn't say ew.
You said, how do you say ew
it was a bit
in
exaggerated.
Australian accent?
No. And how do you say ew in exaggerated accent?
Ew.
In Australian?
Yeah, that's what you said. That's what you said.
Wow.
But so for real, so how do you...
Here's the thing. Raya, no one talked.
Uh-huh.
And I'm aware of the confusion of me as a human. I have many aspects to myself.
Sure.
Self-awareness is key. I'm aware that I am confusing sometimes. I'm worth it though.
Yep.
So I'm aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing, is that what it did point out in me was like when a guy ignores me, I'm like, ugh, jerk. When a guy was too forward and I wasn't ready for it, I was like, oh my gosh, like it was scary. And I don't know if it might have been something in me of,
Oh my God, aggressive.
I would definitely use that word.
With the too forward, what's that criteria?
Well, that guy I hadn't written back to 3 other messages, and then that was the 4th message of like.
But explain what is too forward? What is the perfect amount of forward?
I would say, I don't know, Ange, help me out.
Well, listen, I'm not the one on the dating app, but I feel like,
you know what I mean?
You have to have some sort of conversational skills.
Yes.
And I mean, not every guy can be charming, but I guess Google, I'm sure there's a list somewhere like top 20 icebreakers, and I'm sure they have very specific top 20 icebreakers for a dating app or whatever.
Sure they do.
Like there has to be some article written to give even a guy who has no charm whatsoever a cool opening one-liner to make a girl go, oh, he's kind of funny.
Let me ask you something. What if it was just like honesty? What if a dude got on there and was just like, hey, I've never been on an app before, but I saw your picture, I thought you look absolutely beautiful, and I know there's more than just looks, so how are you?
That's nice. Did any of them say that?
No, I'm saying, but would that be okay?
Depends on
nice,
who they are.
So
sure.
Is it depends on who they are or how they look?
Well, both.
Well, that's all you get to know is how they look.
So it depends greatly on how they look. So a dude that is not good looking, that's more like...
here's the thing. I swiped right on a guy whose profile, I'm laughing about it, thinking about it. He inserted his face in all of the... It was funny. And he wasn't like... He wouldn't necessarily be someone I would naturally be attracted to, but he inserted his face on all, like, in the royal wedding pic, in, like, with Oprah, with, like... surfing like this crazy and just like this taking the piss of the entire thing, and I swiped right because I thought it was hilarious, and he talked to me and I forgot to write back, but it's fine, like not a big deal. But like that kind of stuff, if you're and I really love like funny, like I like being lighthearted and being sarcastic and I don't need someone to be like that. I just need them to appreciate mine and not expect me to respond as if they're my husband before I've even actually met them in real person.
It's amazing how like funny guys can get away with saying the most crazy stuff. Like they'd be like say the most outlandish thing of like, yo, I'm actually not gonna say because that'd be way too explicit. They just end that text with like an LOL, and it's like, oh, that was funny.
Bro, why do you think there's so many ugly AF comics out there
with these stunning
hitting it after every show? They got groupies and they're ugly, overweight, barely got teeth, don't even wear deodorant, whatever. I'm not thinking of anybody specific, right? I'm just saying like that's how ugly a guy can be, but if he's funny and has personality, all of a sudden girls are like, oh, okay.
So I guess I just want to know, at least for the guys that are watching, and it's probably a lot less than there are women, but
you never know.
For a guy, is honesty the best commodity for him to have? Like, is it, because I know you say Google whatever, but I guarantee you if this fool is out there and they Google this generic ass line, the first thing you're gonna say is, man, it sounds like he Googled this. Like, if honesty, somebody was just normal and honest, didn't have no game, was just genuinely interested, would you say, when in doubt, just be honest, be cool?
I would look to his picture. I would see that if I got that message, but I wouldn't. You would see the picture first.
Yeah. Look at you knowing how to do dating apps now. Yeah.
Oh my God. I know how to do it.
You'd be fine if Manny did die. You know what I mean? Not that you would like.
I hope she would be fine.
You.
Yeah.
That's the next episode.
Yeah. What do you do when you lose it?
I would refer back to the photo.
Yeah.
But so that message wouldn't even be able to get into my inbox if I didn't already see the face. So if I allowed that face to be access me, and they gave me an honest line like that, that would be charming to me. I'd be like,
so this is what I'm asking. So it comes down to A, initial attraction, B, honesty.
And I would say, like, I was saying, on Bumble, the girl has to talk first. Mm-hmm. So at first I was like, that's great, because now on Tinder, I'm not going to have to, like, get what all these girls talk about, all these pics that they get without even knowing someone's name. And the guy's like, what, you up at 2 a.m.? And so on Bumble, you talk first. And yet I realized after a week, I was like, damn, that puts everything on me. Like, I swipe, we match. Now I got to think of the opener. I got to Google icebreakers. Mm-hmm. And yet, like, there were that guy that was like, what do I got to do? Like, on that example, he was on Bumble. And so, yes, I had swiped right. But after, like, for me, I think it also comes down to the intention of the whole thing. So I don't even know if I was really if I'm really ready to say that I would meet someone purely online without having mutual friends. Like, the validation of friends and someone vouching for someone, to me, what I realized through this is freaking huge for me. To know their character, to have a friend that's like, hey, this guy's a good dude. And maybe it's because of my last experience, honestly, but I wasn't ready to take that next step. So anyone that was forward, I found myself retracting, but that wasn't on them. Yeah. That was on me, my past experience, and not having someone to vouch for them. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Totally.
So I had someone to vouch for me.
Exactly. You guys met technically online.
Well, we had a mutual friend, and my old roommate married his best friend. And I saw him at their wedding. I thought he was fly. He didn't even notice me. Didn't even introduce himself to me. Nothing. He doesn't remember seeing me at the wedding at all.
Okay, you drove that boat home.
I think it needs to be a little bit harder. How could you? And so I went home and I cyberstalked him on the internet.
Naturally.
Googled everything about him. Looked him up on Facebook. But no, I didn't message him.
Right.
I didn't do anything. I was like, ooh, snooze, you lose. You should have introduced yourself to me, but bye. And I went on about my life.
Yep.
And then 2 years later, my friend who got married that day messaged me and was like,
2 years?
Yeah, 2 years.
Jeez.
Whoa.
I was like, girl, bye. You cute and stuff. Yeah, you do music. Woohoo, whatever. I go on tour too. Oh, so impressive. Okay. Anyways, so then 2 years later, she calls me. She's like, hey, I want to hook you up with somebody. I was like, who? And she said his name, and I was like, oh, that's the guy I did all my research.
Did you tell her that you already researched him?
I didn't tell her, no.
He's like, oh, okay, cool.
That's what I said. I was like, oh, okay, I'll look him up.
Yeah.
She goes, look him up on Facebook. I don't know if he's your type. And so then
you're like, I'm sure he is.
We met
the Lord's
via social media that way because she told me to look him up, and she told him to look me up.
That's what I'm saying.
And then we message and then Skype and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I am.
But I had a vouch.
Yeah, who I am as a human, and maybe there's other people out there with different perspectives, and we'd love to hear them. But I think that is one of the biggest things I've realized is I need a vouch. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not just the girl that's going to date a guy that I saw his photo online, because photos are very misleading, and I know that from experience. Mm-hmm. So that's why I go, you know.
Yeah, especially to being a pastor, like one of the main things that you were like interested in is not only just like, again, I think the attraction is got to be there. Like that's an obvious, that's like, doesn't need to be stated, but the character, that whole aspect to that of like somebody you're like, hey, who's honest, who's integrous, all these things. And same with me, like I had a vouch. And so Maddie and I, we met 3 years ago. I meet her in passing. I think she's super cute. Don't even really try to make a move because at that time I was still in a relationship. Yeah. But I'm on my way out. Like emotionally, I'm already done.
Yeah. Did she know that?
I think she could feel it.
Okay, cool.
I started becoming like a person that I'm not very proud of. I started becoming savage towards the end of that relationship. Right. And so anyways, we meet in passing and I'm like, man, you know, and she ends up popping on my Explore page. And at that time, her best friend and one of my mutual friends were dating. And so my mutual friend actually comes to stay with me for like 2 weeks. And so the whole time I'm asking about this girl that I met in passing at this event that I was speaking at. And I'm like, yo, what's her name? What's her deal? And I'm like, just trying to get everything I can. I'm on her Instagram. I'm looking at her pictures, like her captions. And I'm like, I can get a feel for like what you're about.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's so crazy to me. And so I end up getting her Snapchat info from my friend. Like
Snapchat?
Yeah, because I didn't like really start a conversation. So I add her out of nowhere. Like we haven't talked about her or anything. And I sent her a video. And this was like right when Drake.
Okay, wait, what'd you say? I need to know.
It wasn't like a sexy video. I was like
sexy working out video.
I was doing like 500 push-ups. Like,
like, hey man, what's up?
Drake's Hotline Bling, it just came out, and I was like, you know that line, you used to call me on my cell phone late night when you need my love. Yeah. So I sent her that video. I'm just curious. Like at this point, I'm like, I'm gonna shoot my shot.
Yeah, boy.
And she sends it back, like singing every line word for word.
Of course,
and I was
she
like,
did.
Oh.
Wait, hold on, pause. You sent that video, or you sent a video of yourself singing that song?
Yes, to her. I'm like mouthing it with Drake. So like I'm like singing the song like my own little music video.
Okay. And a DM. You slid into her DM.
And I slid into her DM.
Yeah.
And I remember it was like probably like 7:30, starting to get dark outside. And I'm like anxiously waiting for this girl to respond.
I love it.
And as soon as she responded, I just kept sending. And then after that, the conversation was like Snapchat, Twitter, and then it just became cell phone.
To me, that's like, that would be my dream. Yeah.
And so, yeah, but we had friends to vouch for us. And that was the thing which caused like...
I have a question. It's a question for Maddie, but maybe you know the answer. Did she remember meeting you when you messaged?
That's what I was going to ask.
I don't think Maddie remembered. Like, because to me, Maddie was like, it was so attractive, the fact that she was like, I don't need you. Matter of fact, I don't even really need to get married. I'm good. Like, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm an independent woman. And to me, that was like so attractive. Because most of the girls I could shoot my shot at would be like interested, you know?
Okay, so ladies, this is a thing. If you're watching, and I know you are, here's some things that I just saw commonality between me and my boy B. He was attracted to the fact that she was completely secure and didn't need him. It's kind of it's tough to say it like that. Yeah. Yes, she didn't need him, but you're not saying that she had that attitude of like, I don't need no man, I'm good on myself. Not that kind of attitude.
It
was the like,
you very much knew that
you were very secure in who you are.
Like, she's good.
Like, you don't need me to find value in you.
Okay, so one of the things that was awesome about Ange when I met her, initially it was annoying, but because she was such a cold-hearted snake.
Oh, can we find a better word than snake?
Yeah. No, it was a throwback. She's been telling lies. Okay, so anyways, she was super cold, but then after it, you know what I'm saying, after she let down the whatever, she was still that same person, and this is where I knew my wife was banging. We had this rule, because we tried to keep it holy before we got married. So we had this rule is that Manny could not stay the night, because she had her own spot, she had her own thing, because you know my wife was a baller.
Eat a penny.
But the rule was I had a curfew, and I had to leave.
What time?
Was it 11 or 12?
That was probably 12.
She's like 4 a.m.
No. No.
It got later.
I can't tell you how many. I can't tell you how many nights I was tired, and I was just like, I'm just gonna stay. And my wife kicked me out.
Get it, mama.
Every single night.
Nothing.
And as frustrated as I was, what it made me see was like, man, like, I can trust this girl.
Yeah.
Like, she has a supreme confidence and a security in herself. She's not like worried about losing me. She ain't worried about, you know what I'm saying, any of that crap. She was worried about having character and integrity. And that was one of the biggest things that really attracted me to her, because I'm like, man, I could trust this girl with my spirit. Like, she's looking out for me, you know? And she don't need me. Like, she's not, there's nothing about her life that even shows me that she needs me at all. And I think that that's something beautiful for women to understand and to get to know, is there's something attractive about a woman who takes time to get her together.
Yeah.
Like, do the work to be emotionally whole. Do the work to be financially whole. Because this was my requirement when I met someone, that she loved Jesus, that she was fly, and that she was out of debt. Look, your money will show you where you are at in maturity. If you some chick that can't understand you will make 100 and you're spending 2, then don't expect some mature dude to be like, yeah, I want to mess with you. But it was attractive for a woman to have her stuff together, to do the work, to have it together, to not just count on looks, to not just count on other things, but to genuinely have her stuff together. And it seems like what you're saying is what Maddie had was that somebody else didn't have, was she had her stuff together.
Yeah.
Like, she took that time.
She knew her value. She knew her worth. I mean, we got married. I was 25. Maddie was 21. Neither of us were in debt. She like paid her way through college working.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, yo, you got everything together. You're 21 years old. And the way that you talk and the way that you see the world is so much more mature than that. And so I was just like, well, this is the first time I'm like actually dating a woman. Like, before, like, my ex-girlfriend was like a little girl, like super insecure, you know? So there's always this questioning. And that, to me, that was so unattractive, because I'm like, but at the same time too, I didn't know my worth back then.
Yeah, I guess I have a question. When you say, because I hear that in church so much, know your value, know your worth. That's so attractive. What does that practically look like? Not that girls can like fake it and be like, okay, so I practically do that. What does that look like when you see a woman that knows her worth and knows her value and doesn't, in quotes, need you? Obviously, that's Angela, that's Maddie. Like, they've got their own job, career. Like, what a practical thing. What does that look like?
Well, I think it's different for every person. For me, you know how we've had so many talks, and you know, I bust your balls because I'm like, stop bullshitting yourself.
I don't have
like,
balls.
don't BS yourself, right?
Spiritual.
So
spiritual balls.
To me, spiritual balls. To me, what it looks like when someone values themselves is not that they're perfect, but that they, at some point, they realize that the BS that they tell themselves that continually keeps them living underneath their potential, they outgrew it. They're okay with their imperfections because they're working on them. They're okay with their shortcomings because they're making them not. They're doing the work. And there's a confidence in a woman who's doing the work.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just like a dude who gets that, who's in the gym doing the work. Like, there's a supreme confidence. Like, when you get out, like, you know that you are living a healthy life. You know that you are doing all that you can do to become the best version of you. When you're not doing the work, that's when you lean on insecurity and other things that become more prominent, where you start saying stuff like, you contradict yourself in the same sentence. You'll be like, yeah, no, I feel good. I don't need a man. I don't need a man at all, And then in the very next sentence, you're on your phone and you're like, oh my God, this guy hasn't hit me back yet.
Yeah.
To me, I'm like, oh, so you do need a man. Mm-hmm. You're just saying you don't. You're just talking more than you are.
Guys do that too.
Guys do it all the time.
Yeah.
Like, we find ways to hide as opposed to just doing the work, accepting. There's something so sexy about somebody just accepting their weakness. Back in the day when I was dating, I would be like, yo, if it was a hot chick and we were hanging out, I'd be like, yo, let's be honest. If we go back to your crib, it's just gonna happen. You look good. I look good. If we go back to your crib, 99% chance we are gonna get down.
Was this in your swagger or this was spoken?
This was spoken. I told her straight up.
That's borderline douchey.
Andrew's
But
making faces.
I get your confidence.
Literally, this is how I would talk. I'd be like, yo, it's going to happen. And I want to be a man of God. And I think you want to be this. Sorry if I sound weak or if I sound like, you know, like you just want to be like, dude, can't you control yourself? I can just be honest and be like, I don't think we're going to set ourselves up to win. So instead of that, why don't we go kick it at an ice cream shop? Why don't we go catch a flick? Why don't we go catch a whatever? And I was just honest with myself and my weaknesses. But that made me strong. Because guess what? We didn't do anything stupid. We did go to the movie. We did go whatever. And at least she knew, hey, I cared enough to call me on my weakness, to say these are my weaknesses. These are my strengths. My strength is I'm using wisdom. My weakness is, you know, I can't chill with pretty girls at 11 o'clock at night in their house. So to me, maybe some girls thought it was whack, but most of them were like, yo, I respect you at least. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I say that to say is being supremely aware of your weaknesses and your strengths and working on each one of them. I feel like that shows a girl and a man who has their stuff together.
I'd say quickly for me, one thing that I saw in Maddie that to me, I was like, okay, you know your worth. Like a little bit of that of like being self-aware of like knowing like, hey, there's a level of excellence in you. Whatever like path you're on, whatever your lane is, like you're trying to be the best at it. And so I saw the standard, like eventually this happened over time when I got to see and we're having more conversation of like Maddie held herself to like the standard. Like she's like, I'm going to bring out the best of me. I am doing the work. I see the best in me. I'm bringing it out. And not only that, I'm going to bring out the best in you too. And to me, that was like, I remember one time we were in Nashville. I forgot where we were at. And I just happened to be on my phone. You know, like it's just a weird random habit. Like I'm just like, all right, I'm not doing nothing. I'm not saying nothing. Let me get on my phone. And so she's like, hey, can you put your phone away and be with me? And I was like, oh God, I love this. I was like, all right, I'm putting my phone away. Like you out here putting me in check. But to me, it was just like, it was, I'm like, oh, you're calling me to something higher right now. Like you're inviting me into something for us to actually be here in this moment together and I'm ruining it. Thank you for calling me on my shit, you know?
I mean, for you.
Anytime I've ever told Manny, can you get off your phone and be with me? His number one response is, babe, you're always on your phone.
Queen.
And then it just becomes that conversation.
Queen.
It becomes a conversation of who's on their phone more than the other.
No, but thank you to the Apple update. I can prove myself that I'm right this time.
Right. Yeah, but yeah, it is me mostly on my phone. But I'm just saying,
okay,
if I ever say,
it's not, I love
can
you
you get
so
off
much.
your phone? It's not like, oh, I love that. It's like, babe, now you want to talk about being on phone?
Hey, babe. Don't be hanging me out to dry, queen.
I'm just saying.
No.
Learn from Brandon.
Hey. When was the last time?
Oh, she gonna swipe left.
When was the last time you ever had to tell me get off my phone?
I mean,
I
don't know.
You can't think about it. Why? Because now.
No, because 0.5 seconds.
And also, I'm on the spot. But if you give me some time.
But I'm detached from my phone now. Like I don't like being on my phone.
Yes, because you have a watch.
What does that even mean?
Babe, you walk through the house like this.
On my Apple Watch?
Yeah.
You don't want to be honest right now. Why are you lying to the people?
Okay. But wait, I had something important to say to what Brandon said.
Uh-huh.
When you're talking about Maddie and saying, what does it, and you asked, what does it look like for a woman to know her value? Mm-hmm. Would you say that you could see that Maddie knew her value based on the standard she held you to, meaning like what she would accept and not accept? Like, oh no, obviously this is not it, but like, oh, you don't talk to me that way. Or I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not the one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
early on, it was like her setting boundaries and me setting boundaries as well.
Great.
Of like having, hey, this is how, if we're going to do this thing, like we're going to do it right. And because I know how I'm wired and, you know, how I'm capable of being in these situations, these are my boundaries. So when we're together, you're off your phone because I'm worthy of all your attention when we are here together in this moment.
Yeah.
So it's like things like that, like even the boundaries that we set for ourselves, it proved to each other of like, we know our value. And because we know our value, these boundaries are up to protect that value.
Great.
Because we don't want anything tearing that down, right? It's not worth it. So
I know a lot of girls that need to hear that message. So yes.
Wait, it's the same thing that I said earlier about you when you kicked me out.
It's better when Brandon says it.
Yeah,
Though.
and you don't want to be the one to say it.
I'm sorry, babe. Thanks.
Get off your phone, Manny.
Hey. Hey, but really, for you two, like, what makes you feel like a guy has his stuff together?
Oh, I think
Money. No, I'm just kidding.
Cardi B starts
I
playing.
think, if he's really rich, you know what I mean? No, I'm kidding.
gosh.
I think that for me, it's the vouching thing. But if someone is going to vouch for them, the things for me that they would say is that they have their job and finances in order, because to me, they know me. So they know how important that is due to past experiences. And also, I think finances, what you said is so true. It speaks to so much more than just money. It speaks to self-control. It speaks to vision. It speaks to self-discipline. And I think that all of that kind of stuff, planning for the future, knowing what you want, money actually does tell a lot of different stories. And one of the first things I did during the divorce was to get out of the debt that had accumulated during the marriage. For me, that was important because of my life, and I didn't want to be weighed down. People in a lot of debt, there is a heaviness that sits on them because of that, and I didn't want that. And so to me, I want a man that feels the same way with that kind of thing. They would also tell me, if someone's vouching for someone, they're hilarious, or would find me hilarious. Either way, that works. And someone they have a personality. They haven't relied on their looks their entire life or a skill that they have. Like, they actually have they're deep. They have a personality. So to me, those two things, and then someone that I can't even describe it, because I don't think I have a type. People think I have a type, but I don't think I have a type. But what is attractive to me is someone that's excelling in their area, whatever that is. It's someone that knows what they want and they're excelling in that. And that could look different for anyone, a musician, a businessman, an actor, a teacher, a therapist, whatever it is. They're just excelling in their field. And so to me, I don't know. What do you think?
To me, what does it look like for a guy to have his stuff together? Yeah, you don't have to be rich, but you have to have your finances in order, not be in debt. If a guy were to show up on a date with me and he drives like
Manny would show up and be like, what the hell is happening?
Mercedes or, Range Rover, whatever bougie car, but doesn't have their finances in order, however you would know that. I don't want to give an example, but however you would know that this person is driving this bougie car, but they actually don't have the money to back it up.
Right.
That shows immaturity to me.
For sure.
So you don't have to be rich. Like, if you can afford a Honda, that's where you're at in your finances, but you got Honda finances straight, like you got that on lock. Like, I can roll in my Honda and take you out to dinner and go and take a weekend trip with you, whatever. Then let's roll in the Honda.
Yeah.
Don't pick me up in a Mercedes so we could be like, all right, I got this coupon for 2 for 1 at whatever. Like, that's not, no. So yeah, having your finances in order. You don't have to be rich, but that's a sign of maturity.
Live within your means.
And then the other thing, this next statement is dependent on your age, season of life. My age, my season of life, God forbid, if I had to get back on a dating app and I met a guy who had roommates, nah. Nope.
Wait, though. What if he owned the house and he's just renting out rooms to his friends? Because that's a different dude. That's a dude who understands real estate.
Okay. Yes. But okay, so for instance, I'm thinking
because like if you died and I had to rent this house out, you know what I'm saying, and I lived upstairs and I rented out the down 3 rooms, you know what I'm saying? That's just me making
different.
Money.
Yes, of course. Yeah. If he owned the house and was renting it out to his friends, not because he needed to.
Yeah.
But it's just like
a business strategy.
Yeah, or they're not his friends. They're just like he's renting the room out just because he can. Sure. But if it's like he has to, again, I feel like that's fronting. There you go again, pulling up a Mercedes with a coupon. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. But if you live where you just have roommates, oh, this is my roommate? No.
So it sounds to me that for men, your stuff, having your stuff together is not necessarily the amount of money you make, but it's what you're doing with what you are making. Because for some reason, it sounds like subconsciously, even with you guys talking, there's a desire for a woman to feel taken care of, or at least the possibility of being taken care of, and trust that you are responsible and that you know how to balance your life, that you're not overextended in any area to try to impress. Yeah. That sounds like what you're saying. And it sounds like what we're saying over on this side for you women. Your life is together based on how you carry yourself and the standard to which you hold the other person that is in your life. What you allow them to do to you. How you allow them to speak to you. How you allow them to treat you. Because it shows a supreme self-worth if you don't take the crap. Which, let's be honest, most women, I don't want to say most women, but a lot of women take what they take because they're afraid that they're not going to get anything better.
Yeah, no, I would, but because there's so many experiences from the past, I think if you don't heal from past pain, and everyone's had their heart broken, it's almost one of those transitions into adulthood. If you you need to have a heartbreak, but I think if you don't heal from that, you're going to look at the next guy or the next girl or the next relationship, and as long as they don't look like your ex, you'll dive into it. But what we don't realize is that brokenness is in levels. It's not in specifics. So someone can be at the same level as brokenness of my ex, but look completely different on the front. And if I haven't done the work in healing myself, I'll go for it because he looks completely different. Only 6 months down the track to realize, crap, like I'm in the same situation.
That's what Krista Black and Krista Gifford and Lucas Gifford, they talk about on their podcast, as they were talking about, why did you attract this person to you? If you're going to get out of this marriage or out of this relationship, you need to figure out why you attracted that person to you, because if not, you're going to just do the same thing. You're going to attract that same type of person to you. They're going to look different. Maybe they have a different job, or maybe they're a different ethnicity or whatever it is, but their hurt and their trauma attracted to your hurt and your trauma. So you got to figure your stuff out. Otherwise, you're just going to get in your pattern.
Well, that's the age-old adage, misery loves company. The reason misery loves company is because the misery in me identifies with the misery in you. So if that be true, then the adverse is also true. If you're complaining that you're not finding somebody great, your first stop should be looking at yourself and asking yourself, am I being great? Because I'm going to tell you this. I was out there running them streets trying to find love in all the wrong places, just being a little hooker, just getting down. I wasn't having sex, but I was just like handing myself out because I could.
Just dip to dip.
I just did, just for a little bit to see if it hurts.
Oh my God.
And then,
we'll edit that part.
But then,
oh really?
But then check it. Then I realized, man, I looked in the mirror and I was like, bro, you're just a whore. Like that's all you are. You're just laying down, no kind of commitment, no kind of anything. You got a bunch of homie lover friends. You're just a whore. At some point, how do you expect to get an amazing woman when you're just acting like a whore? And that day, I went through my phone and deleted every girl in there that didn't bring me closer to God.
Right.
All of them. Deleted all of them. And I told the Lord, from here on out, I'm a king. 6 months later is when I found Ange.
Yeah, it's crazy
because I took myself serious and I was like, forget this. I'm not a whore. I'm a freaking king. And 6 months later,
you found your queen.
And I wasn't even looking. Somebody sent me a freaking, like we said, they just sent me a freaking email. Like, check this chick out.
Yeah, I remember even like, again, maybe we'll talk about this in another episode, dating in the Christian world. That's a whole nother beast.
Can we?
It's full of ton of terrible relationship tools.
Yeah, I keep stating goodbye.
Yes. Oh, Lord help us.
Oh my God, I read
God
that
help
book.
us. I read that book too. All right. And I remember in middle school, like, one of our youth pastors sat us down, and, you know, because everything that you could think about as a youth kid is like your youth pastor's bragging about how hot his wife is and how they get to bang every night.
Gosh.
And
Yes,
you're like
they
going through
did.
puberty, and you're like, but I can't have sex.
Yeah,
This doesn't help
every
me.
youth camp.
He's like, hey, this is what I want you to do. I want you to make a list of all the qualities that you want in your future spouse.
Yep.
So we're like middle school kids, like hot, nice butt,
Super hot.
boobs, you know, middle school boy,
Pretty hot.
and yeah, you know,
Sexy.
pretty eyes, long legs,
Can
you know,
throw
so-
a football. Like
Yeah.
random stuff.
Yeah. And so I remember having this list, you know, and like, you know, maybe like 7th, 8th grade thinking like, yeah, God, this is what I want. I'm bringing this before you. And then it dawned on me, like my freshman year in high school, I was like, because the list expanded and it was more like actual qualities, like character, what kind of personality she is. And I realized like, I'm asking all these great things of what I want in my future spouse, but am I great? Which is exactly what you were saying. And so it was more of the, before I'm asking or demanding this greatness in somebody else, I need to get my act together. So
That's
it's
so
like,
true,
and
man.
it's connected to you too, of like saying like, hey, that emotional wholeness on the front
Yeah.
end, you know, like that thing of like, oh, she's my better half. I'm like, no, we're a power couple. It was two wholes coming together,
Yeah.
and we just level up.
Yep.
Absolutely. And that actually, like on Bumble, like there was this one experience that I had this last week that you guys know about. But this kind of like, I realized one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that people will believe whatever they want to believe. And what we as humans naturally, and our natural tendency is to believe. We want to think that we are the exception, not the rule, and that we get to skip the process. What I mean by that, there was a guy that should I say his name? No, we won't say his name on here.
No.
It's fine. He can keep living his life. But his whole profile was the fact that he was this big multi-millionaire business guy on Bumble. And on Bumble and dating apps, you talk about like the unicorn, like finding the one that like surpasses, like makes it all worth it in that sense. You know what I mean? And so this guy was a multi-millionaire. I went to his Instagram and he had 101,000 followers. And I was like, huh, interesting. All of his shots were like different photo shoots of him being a business guy. And I was like, okay. So I went back to the Bumble and it was like, this Bumble is run by some kind of like wealthy matchmaker company for him. But this gentleman, they said his name, will speak to everyone that he matches with personally. So I hit my friend up that's on it. And I was like, hey, is this a thing that like wealthy guys will have someone run there? And she's like, I actually have seen it. I know a couple friends that met that way. So I was like, cool, that's legit. Swiped right. It matched. It's Bumble, so I have to talk first. So I can't remember, what did I say? I can't remember what I said. Something cute and funny, and like I Googled one-liners. No, I'm very funny. I found it myself. Or Angela wrote it. I don't know. So I write to him. He writes back straight away. And this is like on a Wednesday night, like 10 p.m. I'm winding down for the day. So we're talking, and this person that's running his site, her name's Tammy, which I probably should have known. I was like,
You're so stupid.
oh my gosh. Anyway, so he's talking, and he's like, hey, let's get out of here because Tammy's talking. And he's very quick-witted, very like sarcastic. So I was like already in love, picturing my like wedding gown and all that kind of thing. So I give him my number, and so he starts texting me. And already, you guys read all the text. He's very forward. He's like, hi, beautiful. The next morning, he's like, good morning, gorgeous. And I was like, all right, bro, calm down. Like, you don't know my middle name. Well, we're not there yet. So I wake up the next morning and I was like, something's not right. And this was the first time since like in a long time that I have trusted my gut and was like, something is not right. And so I call my guru dating friend, who will continue to remain nameless. She knows all of these searches to do on these people, does a search on this guy, comes to find out he's not a catfish, he's actually him. He's just a freaking con artist and has bought all of his followers and all of his likes and isn't who he says he is, has a whole family behind him, but like maybe we think he owns a business, but definitely isn't that successful. Is taking pictures with celebrities, but like the ones that you can walk up to and be like, hey bro, thank you, great, let's take a photo.
Yeah. Hey, it was so great hanging out with Denzel Washington. You're
Yeah, like my boy.
nigga, you just met him at 7-Eleven.
Literally, like you found him on he's like got a photo with a lady from Spanx, like so glad to be partners with her. You ain't partners with her, you saw her when you were out for a smoko break. So I realized so quickly, so he starts hitting me up and I was like, oh, absolutely not. First time I've been like, okay, we're cutting this thing off with the help of this crew right here. But it was so interesting to me that I was like, how many women has this guy conned into who knows what? Because we want to believe what we want to believe. And there was enough there that if I was broken in that way and hadn't healed how much I've healed from my marriage and done the work, I could have been like, this is it. And even Christian speak, this is God's plan. This is his promise. This is who he has for me. When really... no, you're just trying to skip the process and not do the work of getting to know somebody. We want the goal. We want the benefits without having to go through the process of actually screening and holding our heart back a little bit. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. I mean,
great.
There's no like, you know, this pod being called How to Find It. There's no one way. There's no magic way. But if you do stick to these principles that we talked about, women, knowing yourself, valuing yourself,
love your own life first,
like love yourself and do the work, like and this is for dudes too, like you can't just get by if you do have money. You know, and that's the problem with money and looks, man. It allows you to get by on a lot of things. Do the work. The only way you're gonna find somebody great is if you are great. Do the work. And we promise, man, with patience and those principles that we talked about, you'll at least be a step closer. You know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna be like, you'll find your one.
Sign up now.
Yeah,
Guaranteed to find lover within 18 months.
Nights at the Round Table app coming soon.
Oh my God. Look, we could talk forever about this, but we're gonna cut it short here. And we had a blast talking about this. Bobise, thanks for being a trooper. Jumping on the apps, you can delete them now if you would like. Hey, and
officially getting off them.
If you guys are out there, man, and you still have more questions about love or anything, individually, Brandon's relationship, my relationship, Bobise,
his journey,
comment, let us know, and do us a favor if you're digging these pods, subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe. It'll also be on YouTube, so you can subscribe over there. And we'd love to hear from you. Honestly, all this stuff that we do is to help somebody, so we're hoping that somebody who's listening got something from this.
Also, if any ladies out there after hearing this just want to be best friends with Elyse, because we find that I promoted Elyse on my Instagram, tried to get her a date, and
I did not ask her to, by the way.
No, she didn't ask. I did it on my own. I did my own commercial for Elyse.
She did.
And 97% of the responses were girls saying, I want to be best friends with her.
I'm a great friend. I'm a great friend. Winning at that.
And guys, don't send her a Drake video mimicking. It ain't gonna work. Brandon already did it.
Unless you got your life together.
It ain't gonna work.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, it only gets better from here.
Unless you are Drake, then I don't want to see that. All right.
Champagne Poppy, holla at me.
Brandon wants to talk to you. He wants to be your best friend. Okay, we gotta end this.
All right, we love you guys. Hey, may you find a seat at the table, but if you don't, you are always welcome at ours. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.